Hey everyone, it's Jason, and welcome to another Masters of the Universe, the board game, Clash for Eternia, Box of Power, the Kickstarter stretch goal stretch goal unlocks. This is video number 4. So just quick recap. Part 1, we went to the basic extra components, tiles, stuff like that, my minions, and extra little components. Parts 2 and 3, we went through all of the heroic side, the masters. Went over like the main masters in part 2, and part 3 we went over kind of like some of the allies and alternative figures. So now part 4, we are going to go over the first of the evil forces, and then part 5 we'll go over the rest of them. So I'm doing stuff a little bit different in this one. So instead of starting with like the regular evil forces and doing the alternate guys, I'm gonna do the characters that start with match the expansion packs first. So we're gonna, because there's only a couple that go with these. So in the hero side, every character was a regular master. There was no extra bonus characters that went with the She-Ra set. And I'm not for sure why. Maybe there just wasn't any more core characters for that set, or maybe they just didn't make the cut. I'm not for sure. But we're going to start off this with characters that go with the Horde pack, which is also Kickstarter exclusive. And we're going to start off with an alternate right off the bat. We have Hurricane Hordak. So if you've seen the hero ones, we had some alternate versions of some of those characters. We'll have some alternate for some of the main guys for the evil forces as well. But this gives them, like the toy lines that you get 5, 6, 10 different He-Mens. So we get some different versions. So Hurricane Hordak gains a shield in there. He has Hurricane Mace. 3 melee, and then attack boost roll 3 extra dice. And Hurricane Shield. Defense. For each miss, the attacker suffers 1 wound. So I want to do as a comparison on him, like to his regular Hordak card. So the other one, he has the same stats, 7, 1 defense. He also has his 3 melee attacks, because now he gets an attack boost. But instead of having all these augments, which lets him do reactions, which boost up himself or allies, he just gets a straight up defense. So that's kind of what you're trading just on the base version of him. That's not to say that the skill cards and stuff won't change all that, but I'm not going to compare all of those. At least not in this video. So if that's something people would like to see, I can always do that in a second one. Compare all the different alternate characters. Okay, so his controller version has Hurricane Mace as well, but it also says enemies wounded by this attack become dazed, and Hurricane Shield. Attacker suffer 1 wound. Empowered. Gain a 2 power defense boost. Attackers must reroll all successes. Interesting. And you can use that, I'm assuming, for both of them. But I mean, really, it's just, I guess it's more for Hurricane Shield, because that's your defense ability. But still, that's pretty powerful as well. You don't often see that, a skill inside the Empower. Usually stuff that boosts it, or makes them better. Like, gives them +1 attack, or increases the range, or lowers the power, but not just a straight up brand new ability. Alright, then his AI version, he has Hurricane Mace as well. 3 dice, enemies become dazed, and Dark Vortex. All players on the battlefield suffer a 5 ranged attack and become dazed. Crazy, so he hits everybody with that. That's pretty mean. Alright, then let's look at his miniature there. Big old scary Hordak. I like that the balls on the end have a little bit more detail. Like in the picture, they almost look just like flat. So it's kind of neat. That's it. I like the pose too. Where he's like, almost like he's shooting like a crossbow or a bow and arrow or something. But he just has like a 1 melee or a 1 gun type of attack. It's actually a physical attack, so I'm assuming one of his skill cards will give him ranged. Which, yes, right off the bat here, we have Ensnare. Push enemies wounded by this attack into the closest space adjacent to Hurricane Hordak. Bonus action, flip this skill over. So now you can pull guys near him. That's pretty powerful. Or instead, you can do Entangle. Enemies wounded by this attack become dazed. Okay, so cool. So he has a melee attack that does stuff. And you can either hit guys at a distance and kind of keep them over there, or you can pull them towards them. So you get some different options there. In yellow, we have Shadow Crush. Reaction. When an enemy within 4 spaces activates, they have -1 action this activation. Oh, it just immediately shuts down one of their actions. And if they're dazed, that's going to suck because then they have less movements and stuff too, and or they have to spend stuff. Yeah, it's actually hurt. And then he has Rocket, which I think his regular version has as well. Push Hurricane Hordak up to 5 spaces, ignoring terrain penalties. And all other models. He cannot enter a space of other models. Each enemy he passes through suffers 2 wounds. Just straight up damage is always fun to have. And then red, he has Dark Vortex. It's all enemies on the battlefield. Cannot generate power. For each Grayskull, characters become dazed. So there's lots of dazing effects on here. And then he has Annihilate. 6 melee or 6 range. For each Grayskull, gain 1 success. If this KOs the enemy, perform 1 bonus action. Wow. So just full set of dice, plus potential up to 6 extra successes if you get really lucky and roll 6 Grayskulls. And then as you KO guys, you can do this multiple times. So, and it's another bonus action, so you don't have to do that again. Then you could turn around and you can use like your first action to like weaken guys with something else. Use your second action to annihilate them. Then have a bonus action to hit another guy with a different attack. Or if you get lucky, maybe you could annihilate twice. But I think you can only have 5 energy on a thing, not 6. I don't think you can do this twice in a row unless you have some way to generate energy. But that's still pretty crazy. Alright, so that was our first villain. For the Hordak box. We're going to look at our second one from the Hordak box, which is Mosquito. I remember this toy. So his little chest hole here had like liquid in it, and you push a little button on his back, if I remember right. I say I remember, but I remember what he looks like. But yeah, then it would kind of like squish like liquid around in his chest to look like he had blood flowing through him. I always like a little bit of a creepy toy. I'd love to see how someone paints this. You know, if they paint it like all just blood red in there, or if they try and do like a half and half design. That'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, it's a Mosquito. And you can tell what groups they belong to by the picture in the back. So like the green part means they're evil versus the heroes having, or sorry, purple means they're evil versus green being heroic. But then in the background image, they'll have a different picture. So just a quick spoiler for one of the next characters. So he has like a cave behind him. So if we look at Ninja here, he has Snake Mountain. And then the Snake Men have a different background. And then like the heroes either have Castle Grayskull or She-Ra has a different background. That's why I know there's no She-Ra specific characters. Alright, so Mosquito has 8 health, Life Siphon 3, attack boost. For each wound dealt, heal 1 damage. That's a sweet beginner attack. Power through blood. If Mosquito would heal wounds over his max HP, he instead gains that much power. Free bonus action. Mosquito suffers 2 wounds and gains 2 powers. Ooh, that's a fun mechanic. So he can keep gaining health every time he does damage to refill his power, but he can also spend energy, or his wounds to gain more health, so he can do his more powerful attacks. And then, yeah, that's cool. It's a good way to combat that. Alright, let's see what the controller version has. Life Siphon, heal. And then Stinging Rush. Push Mosquito up to 2 spaces. Mosquito may move through, but not end on spaces containing enemies. After moving, deal each enemy move through 1 wound. Surge. Push Mosquito plus 2 spaces. For each wound dealt, heal 1. Oh, that's crazy. And power once during activation, he may suffer 2 wounds to deal all adjacent enemies 2 wounds. Nice, because then with his 2 healing abilities, that's not even a threat. And then we have the AI version, Life Siphon and Stinging Rush. Stinging Rush works a little different. With 4 spaces, attempts to move through as many enemies as possible. He ignores escape damage and may move through but not end on spaces containing enemies. After moving, deal each enemy moved through 1 wound for each wound, heal 1. So a different, very interesting thing there is this one mentions moving, and then he ignores escape damage, versus ones like these they mention pushing, which pushing doesn't require escape damage. So that's a very interesting little back and forth on those. Alright, let's look a little bit closer at his miniature there. Yeah, so you have like the chest area is blank in here. Interesting though to note, at least until we look at skill cards, he does not yet to use this giant laser pistol he's carrying. So we'll see if one of his cards gives him that ability. We have Leech Power. Enemies wounded by this attack lose 1 power. If they cannot, they suffer 1 wound. For each Grayskull, the enemy loses 1 power. If they cannot, they suffer 1 wound. Cool, so that basically gives him the option to either suck for his health or suck to make your opponent lose power. So which attack do you want to do? Or he can have the Stinging Rush ability, which we've seen. Push him up to 3 spaces, may move through, but not in spaces. Each enemy moved through deals 1 wound. And he's pushed up to 2 more spaces, so he can go up to 5, and deals, for each wound, heal 1. So that's pretty cool, too. Evasive Maneuvers. +1 defense, and defense boost. After this attack, push Mosquito up to 2 spaces. So it can get around. Or Lunging Strike. Push Mosquito up to 2 spaces, then he may perform 1 attack. Surge. The attack may reroll any misses. So, which way do you want to play? This is kind of an interesting character. You could play healing, you could play damaging, you could play defense, you could play offense. And this red one, we should get some pretty interesting stuff, I think. Each time a model within 2 spaces is KO'd, heal 1. Deadly Parasite's the name of this ability. Attack boost. Any attack, roll 2 dice. And free attack boost. If this KOs an enemy character, Mosquito can performs 1 bonus action. Cool. So now we have him and Hordak. They both gain extra stuff for KOing people. That's crazy. And then Toxic Blood. Free bonus action, Mosquito and all adjacent enemies suffer 2 wounds. Crazy. It's free. Reaction. After Mosquito is attacked by an adjacent enemy, roll 1 die for each wound. For each melee attack rolled, the attacker suffers 1 wound. That's pretty cool too. So like here you can do a lot of extra damage, or if you're doing a lot of KOing, like guys are doing way down in health, that might be a good one the other direction. Yeah, I think so far the horde between the 2 different horde acts, which are both pretty powerful in their own right, Mosquito and Leech, just in those 3 to 4 characters, are a force to be reckoned with. That's like the force. I don't like skill wise. I mean, this is just skills. I mean, but even just their controller versions and stuff too. All right, that's nuts. All right, let's look at our 4th one. Sorry, our 3rd character. Our 4th one. I skipped a number. We have our 3rd horde character. We have Scorpina. It's nice. We get another female character. We don't have a lot of them. So it's nice to also get some more for the evil side, because before it was just Evil Lyn in the base game, Catra in the Horde pack, and that might have been it, just the 2 of them. And now Scorpina, you can play 3, so you can play almost a set of ladies. There is 1 more female evil character, so you could do a 4 evil character. Even the good guys, I think, there's Tila and the Sorceress, and She-Ra, well, then all of She-Ra's team. But if you don't include the She-Ra pack, there's only think, 2 other heroic characters. There's Tila and Sorceress. So there's not really a lot of female representation, but there wasn't in this game, or in the TV show. Which is why some of the updated TV shows would be really cool expansions. Alright, so Scorpina here. Claw 3. When an enemy in adjacent space moves, perform 1 claw attack targeting them. They suffer wounds. They do not move. And tail pull. Push 1 enemy within 4 spaces into the closest space adjacent to Scorpina. Cool, so she needs 1 action to pull guys towards them. And then she has the reaction if they try and move. And then she can go ahead and attack them, potentially keep them from moving. That's a cool combo there. Alright, her controller version, she has claw, enemy adjacent moves, perform 1 claw attack, they suffer wounds, do not move, and tail pull. Pulls them towards them and become dazed. Empowered. Roll +1 attack die for every 2 wounds Scorpina has suffered. Okay, because she wants guys next to her, so she's probably going to take damage, but she gains bonus attack for taking that damage. And then her AI version has Claw, just the same thing, and then Tail Frenzy. If there are any enemies within 4 spaces, the enemy at the lowest remaining HP suffers a 5 attack. Surge Actress attack, repeat this skill, what? She gets to hit the guy at the lowest HP, potentially with 2 5-dice attacks. That's nuts. And then if they try and... Yeah, oh, that's crazy. Love it, though. That's awesome. And then her and Catra. Because Catra has all the extra bonus actions, attacks. These two could, again, mess people up. There's her miniature. Nice. I like the lunging type pose for her. That's really cool. Alright, now let's look at her skills. She has Fierce Determination. Heal 2 if Scorpina has 3 or less remaining HP. Heal 1. Heal +1. And then flip this over. Alright, again, she's going to be near guys, so giving her a healing ability is not terrible. Or Enrage. Bonus action. Scorpina suffers up to 2 wounds, then she gains that much power. Attack boost. Roll 1 die for every 2 wounds Scorpina has suffered. And then flip the skill over. Okay, so this is a neat combination for her, because she can basically take damage to gain energy, or power to use for stuff. Then she can roll extra dice for them by boosting her attacks, and then you can flip it over if she's getting too low on health to let her heal. Tail Swing. For melee, hit all enemies within 4 spaces, and for each Grayskull, enemy targeted by this attack becomes dazed. And then her other one is Tail Toss. After this attack, push the enemy up to 3 spaces away from Scorpina. Attack push. If the enemy ends in adjacent next to another enemy, perform a 4 ranged attack on that enemy. It cannot generate. So although usually she wants to keep guys away, hey, if she's starting to die, she could Tail Toss them instead as an option, potentially also hurting somebody else. Her red ones are Unstoppable Defense Boost. For every 2 wounds she has suffered, she gains +1 defense up to 3. Nice, so she can gain defense instead. And then Scorpion Frenzy, 5 range. Before or after completing this attack, push Scorpion up to 2 spaces. Reaction, if this KOs an enemy, Scorpia, I think I'm saying that wrong, may perform 1 Scorpion Frenzy attack against another enemy within this range. Attack cannot generate power. Nice, so she does a 5 dice attack. She can move up to 2. So you can move before. We've seen this before, but yeah, you can move before to get closer. So you can do your damage, or you can move after, like you hit a guy, and then if you KO'd him, you have the option of already have moved too closer to the next guy to hit them with another one. Yeah, so she is a beat stick, which is not something you typically see with female characters. Where they're just all super aggressive like this. But that's definitely cool. Makes for an interesting character. Alright, let's look at our next one. Alright, so we're going to go to another faction. Still, of course, with the evil forces, but we have from Snake Mountain set. Oh, and I actually did say this wrong. I said the Horde was Kickstarter exclusive. It's not. The Horde is retail. A Snakeman was the Kickstarter exclusive one. I had that backwards. My bad. But we have Fangor. So we're going to get 2 new Snakemen. You can see their background is Snake Lair. So we have, yeah, okay, he has a giant, weird-shaped blade, 2 giant fangs, and then he has like a winged snake on his arm. Like, what else do you need, man? Serpent's Blade, 3 dice, action after rolling dice, reroll any dice, and Shooting Fangs, so 3 range. Attack boost plus 2 dice, or attack boost becomes a bonus action. Okay, so nothing like super spectacular on him, but 2 very solid basic attacks. We get some preview of his skills here. We have Shooting Fangs, does the same thing, or attack boost performs 1 additional Shooting Fangs attack. Nice, you can attack boost it and shoot it twice. You can pay for all 4 of them. You can do 1 for 3 and 1 for 5. That's pretty cool. Or enhanced gear. Fangor may use his boost on himself or any ally, gain 1 or 2 defense. Empowered enemies beginning their activation adjacent to Fangor lose 1 power. Nice. He doesn't have anything right now that makes guys want to stay near him, so it just kind of maybe helps, kind of tells them to stay away. Plus he gains that additional attack or defense boost, which can be very helpful. And then we have his AI version, which is Shooting Fangs as well. And then Flying Serpent. All player characters on the battlefield lose 1 power. If they cannot, they become dazed. Surge, the player character with the lowest remaining HP, also suffers 1 wound. So you can send his little snake around to suck on people's powers, or try and eat them, I guess. So here's his miniature. He's got that belt buckle with the serpent symbol on it. This big old weird jaggedy blade, giant fangs. So now, yeah, it makes me wonder something like this. So, like, his teeth are sticking way out. That's something you can figure could maybe snap off kind of easy. So it makes me wonder why they couldn't, when it was Snake Face, when they had his eyes, his snake eyes, like, just glued to his head. Like, why couldn't... Maybe it's because of the fact they're worried that they're up above his head, that they're gonna stick out. But I guess they could have maybe had him stick out more forward. But again, maybe that was the issue. But it does make you wonder. You're gonna have something like this that's gonna be, hanging out this very thing. Like, why you couldn't have done that for another character. Alright, his abilities. We're gonna start with Flying Serpent. 3 range. Enemy loses 1 power. If they cannot, they suffer 1 wound. And then he has Spinning Blade. Hits all enemies adjacent to Fangor. So, yeah, he starts with 2 decent basic ranged or melee attacks, and then he gains option for ones that have little special abilities. Then his yellow, he's going to gain Serpent Reflexes. Reaction: if an enemy ends a move or performs an attack adjacent to Fangor, perform 1 attack targeting them, paying all power costs before they perform their attack. Okay, cool, so he gets one. It doesn't even have to be attacking him if they're adjacent to him. So if he's standing next to his allies and they go to attack them, he'll attack first. That could be fun. What's the other side do? Oversized Bite. This wound enemy, heal 2. Bonus action. KO 1 adjacent minion and heal 1. Okay, that's fun. You're fighting someone that has a bunch of minions, you can just run around KOing them. And you can get a bunch of healing. So it's kind of cool. So if he's by himself, this isn't a bad one to have, because then you can potentially heal. But if he's near his allies, the other one's pretty good as well. And then he has Enhanced Gear. Fangor uses boosts on himself or an ally in 4 spaces, 1, 2, or 3 defense. And then finally he has Onslaught. Each time Fangor KOs an enemy, this still gains 1 power. Attack boost any attack, roll 2 dice, and attack boost any attack for each grayscale roll plus 1 dice. This can exceed the limit of the 6 dice. Alright, cool. So, Fangor doesn't have any really super overly power or crazy abilities, but he's a solid character. He's got a little bit of healing, a little bit of range, a little bit of melee, some boosts. He's a good support character, which I think each faction or each side, every once in a while, you do need that support character. It's nice to have someone that's just like, hey, I'm going to give you some extra defense, or I'm just going to perform, solid things. His only special little thing he does is the ability to drain some energy, which can be very helpful as well. Alright, let's hop into our second and final Snake Mountain Snake faction character, and then we will get into the rest of the regular evil forces. Alright, so we have Lady Slither, so she adds to our female team. Again, we always need more female representation in here. Fang and Blade, 4 melee, free attack boost. If the target has not activated this round, roll 2 dice. Nice, so if she goes first, she gets 6 dice, so she sneak attacks you. Snake Lunge. When an enemy character within 4 spaces activates, push Lady Slither adjacent to that character and perform 1 Blade and Blade's attack. That's crazy. So yeah, she can start off. If she goes early, she has a chance to do extra damage. And then later, when anyone does activate, so she does, if she goes first, she'll have more options to use it. She can do extra attacks. It's kind of crazy. She gets bonuses for being the first character or earlier. Controller side, just Fang and Blade 2. Target is not activated, get +2 free attack boost. If target attack has 4 or more wounds, they may reroll any attack dice. Nice, if she's already wounded them, she gets extra dice. And then Rattle. Roll 2 dice for each melee or gray skull. Each enemy within 2 spaces loses 1 power. For each power they cannot lose, they gain wound and become dazed. Nice. And then Empowered. Once per round, you may exchange an ally's activation to have Lady Slither activate instead. So she gets to move up. You could have her later, and you could determine someone else moves closer to her. You could have her move instead to be able to do her stuff. And then the AI, she has Fangs and Blade, which is very interesting. And Stalking Prey. Place Lady Slither adjacent to the enemy character at the lowest remaining HP. Surge. Then you can perform one Fang and Blade attack against that enemy. Nice. Really fun. She's just, she wants to be out in the front. Look at those scales. This detail, like there's all the scales on there. And she has like pointy hair in the back, which is interesting. That giant serrated dagger. I also like that she's the only snake character that has a snake, like a snake body. Other than King Hiss becoming a serpentine form, where the top is a bunch of snakes, everyone else has legs. She's the only. Alright, then let's take a look at her skills, see what kind of fun stuff she gets to do. Opportunity attack. It says reaction. When an ally completes an attack against an enemy adjacent to Lady Slither, perform 1 Fangs and Blade on them. So she has the opportunity to sit next to allies. When an ally completes an attack, so if they attack, she gets to attack. If the enemy moves towards you, you get to attack. She gets to activate around them. Keeping her next to Fangor is not actually a bad idea, because you can then provide extra defense for her. Constrict Prey. Wound enemies by this attack become dazed. The next time an enemy moves this round, they must spend 1 power or suffer 2 wounds. Yeah, they keep, in the 2 of them, they keep dropping power. That's nice. Deadly Embrace. For every 2 wounds the target has suffered, roll 1 die. If the target has 5 or more wounds, they may also reroll any attack dice. So she gets extra for attacking weak characters. And then she has Rattle. Roll 2 dice for each melee or Castle Grayskull. Each enemy within 2 spaces loses 1 power. For each power they cannot lose, they suffer 1 wound and become dazed. And then Stalking Prey. Bonus action, Lady Slither can place Lady Slither adjacent to any enemy character that's 3 or less remaining HP. yeah, so combine that with Snake Lunge. Tries to enemy characters in 4 spaces activates. Push or adjacent that character form 1 Fang and Blades attack. So they already have 3 or less, and then she can turn around and do a 4 cost ability. And if they haven't activated, she gets, or 4 dice ability, and she hasn't activated, gain more. So I could use this to get her right next to a guy, and then get a roll potentially up to 6 dice against them. That's cool. And then Snake Planning. Reaction: if an ally would activate, swap Lady Squiller's activation card with that ally instead. She activates instead. Cool. So she's all about getting a thing. So one other thing just to point out with these 2 snake characters. So in the Snake Mountain set, there were 3 new conditions. There was Poison, Constrict, and... oh, I can't think of the third one. There's a third token. Poison, Constrict, and... something else, which my brain just completely forgot what that third token was. But anyhow, yeah, there are 3 new conditions that they could do on there. Might have been, I don't want to say bind. But yeah, so they had those. I noticed that neither of these characters use any of them tokens. I'm assuming the main reason is because if you didn't buy that set, because you could have gotten the Kickstarter stretch goals without buying that box, that way these characters weren't unusable. Which I get, makes sense, although I would have liked if they would have included them in there, because, yeah, it would have made 2 characters unusable. Or even one of the 2 unusable if they had these tokens, or just have to substitute a different token. It wouldn't have been that difficult, but that's here nor there, I guess. It's only 2 characters, so it's not bad. Not every character in that set used them either. It just, that's the downside about including an expansion having specific things in it, and then something being released later, because someone might not own that expansion. Like, you have to own the base set, but you don't have to own the expansion. So they don't like, most games don't like to make characters that are from an expansion extra things to go with them, blah blah blah. I like having updated stuff that gives you bonuses for owning those for owning the extra stuff. Alright, so now we have a fun character. We have Ninjor. Yeah, so this guy's just a straight up ninja. With looks like a sword, a bow, and a set of nunchakus. So that's his first ability is Nunchaku. 3 melee attack boosts. Enemies wounded by this attack becomes dazed, and surprise attack. Reaction: when enemy within 4 spaces activates, perform 1 attack on them. Ooh, so kind of like Lady Slither, except he can do any action, not a specific one. So my guess is going to get some options with his skills. His controller version, Katana, this attack becomes a bonus attack. Nice. So that we can still perform extra actions. Or Smoke Bomb. All enemies in the 2 spaces become dazed. Push each of those enemies up to 1 space, then push Ninja up to 2 spaces. And then Empowered. At the start of the round, place Ninja adjacent to any enemy character. Oh, sweet. So he can just go wherever he needs to go. That's crazy. I do want to point out in the artwork here, he has, like lots of these characters do, they have like weird 3 toes, which is kind of interesting. I'm sure that's their way of being like, no, this isn't a human because he has 3 toes. It's probably some way they can get around having humanoid characters. Or maybe that's just how Eternians are. Maybe all Eternians have 3 toes. I don't think He-Man does, though. Alright, so we have Ninjor's AI with Katana as well. After completing his attack, he performs 1 Katana attack, so he gets a double slice. And then Smoke Bomb. Anything 2 spaces, lose 1 power and become dazed. Awesome. Alright, let's take a look at that miniature. Drop these guys out, maybe that'll help with focus. Yeah, this guy's Nunchaku. He's got a symbol on his chest, which I can't really tell what it is. We'll take a little bit closer look. Again, he has his sword and his bow. Now, it's interesting. I don't know how he pulls his bow out with his sword in front of it. So yeah, that's interesting, but you know, cartoons. Let's see if we can zoom up on his. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that is. Bunch of different, like a sword going through a couple of different things. Interesting though. Alright, then let's look at his skills. As a ninja, he has a katana, which you see hits all adjacent enemies. Boost it to become a bonus action, and you can flip this skill over. Of course, he's going to have access to multiple weapons. He can switch to his tech bow instead. Reaction: after rolling the attack dice, reroll any die. Yeah, so with his surprise attack, he can do a free attack, but now with this, he has 3 different options. The nunchaku, which can daze people, the tech bow, which can hit from a distance and reroll stuff, or the katana, which can potentially become a bonus action or hit all adjacent enemies. But the difference there is, so if you're using surprise attack, if you want to perform it, you do the nunchaku, which doesn't cost anything but only 3 dice, or the katana, which costs 4, but you have to pay a power, but you hit all adjacent enemies. So it might just depend on where you are. He uses smoke bombs. All adjacent enemies push 2 spaces, become dazed. Push each one of those enemies up to 1 space, then push ninja up to 3 spaces. So again, get guys away from you. If they have -1 move, it's going to make them harder to catch up to you. Or you could use it to get around guys. Push to get around to the back of a guy, or, you know, something like that. He also has dash, push ninja up to 4 spaces. He may pass through but not end on enemies during this move. After performing from 3 separate attacks on each enemy ninja move through, these attacks cannot generate power. Okay, cool. So then he has to roll different dice for each one. Lots of times when you attack multiple enemies, it's just 1 dice and you do the damage. I mean, I just performed 3 different ones. Then he has Assassinate for 5 dice melee. For each Gray Skull cast will gain 1 success. Free attack boost. If the enemy has 4 or less remaining HP, you may reroll any attack dice. Nice. Him and Lady Slith have a lot in common. Slith, Shadow Master. At the start of the round, place ninja adjacent to any enemy character on the battlefield. Action: place ninja adjacent to any character on the battlefield. So at the beginning of the round, you can do it for free. You can run in, attack guys, and then during your turn, you can spend an action to move him somewhere else if you need to. That's actually really cool. So he's like his own one little force. Now, he doesn't seem like he's gonna play super well with everybody else, but he is gonna do some decent stuff on his own. Alright, let's hop into our next Evil Forces character. We have another very humanoid-looking character, Zodak, who I honestly, up until recently when I started kind of re-getting back into He-Man stuff, with this game coming and stuff, I thought he was a hero, to be honest. And maybe he's one of them characters that, because he has bounce abilities, so you maintain bounce. So maybe he's one of these characters that starts evil and then later on became good, or at least became neutral. Like he doesn't actively try and destroy He-Man, but he doesn't necessarily help him either. I think that's kind of the idea of this. That would have been neat if they had more neutral characters in this set, like a third color, like you had green for good, purple for bad, and you have some neutral characters. There were characters who either switch sides or, just they were there. Like there are other people that didn't always necessarily do stuff. That might be a cool expansion as well. That way you could really play a 3-player game. You could have controller with their 3 characters. You could have a player with 2 and then another player with different 2. That would have neutral characters. But again, it doesn't really matter what color they are. No card to reference it. Alright, let's jump into Zodak here. Laser pistol for range. After rolling attack dice, reroll any dice. Maintain balance. The controller does not gain power from this skill. 3 power reaction. When any character, controller, or player would activate, instead switch their activation card to the next card on the activation track. Interesting. So, that means he can play this in, normally it's controller, player. You could have the controller go, and then instead of them activating, you'd be like, no, the controller's doing really well. We're going to switch them with the player. So now the player gets to go first. And then the controller, then the player again. Actually, it would be player, controller. So that could be very interesting in how you manipulate that. And you get kind of play around with the activation boards are fun different skills. Look, again, he has the 3 toes on there. So you have laser pistols, which is the same. Gains +3 attack rate, ignores defense from terrain, so he doesn't care about terrain. And cosmic bounce. Roll 3 dice. After rolling, major results of any of the following. Melee ally gains 1 power. A melee plus Castle Grayskull ally performs 1 bonus action. And then surge, roll 1 die. I have yet to see any abilities so far that have a combined dice. So that's definitely new. In power, each time Zodak rolls dice, he may reroll all dice once. You have to reroll everything, but that could give you the option if you roll really bad. So it's not just reroll missed dice, you have to reroll everything. It kind of plays into his bounce. It's either all or nothing type of idea. And then he has laser pistol. After performing this attack, Zodak performs his skill for free. Cosmic bounce. Roll 2 dice. Perform the following based on the results. Melee, allies gain 1 power. Grayskull, the ally with the lowest HP performs 1 attack against the enemy in range with the lowest HP. If there are enemies in range, they move towards the closest enemy. Cool. So yeah, he gets to attack, and then if he can use his skill for free if he's attacking. Allies gain 1 power, which is very helpful. And then your ally gets a free attack or gets to move, which could be him potentially. Very cool. Interesting design for a character. Definitely have to see what his skills do. So there is just a basic spacesuit armor. He's got that fun little like strap. I love that feature on these guys where they have like the back of the miniature makes it look like the toy where they have the straps. They could have just left that off and played it like, oh, this is just armor they have on. Like, they have the straps. They put the little belt buckle pieces on. Alright. He starts with enhanced targeting. He boosts his ranged-only attacks, gain +3 range, and ignore defense from terrain. So I can shoot up to 7 spaces. 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. That's pretty cool. And then he has Cosmic Foresight. If the enemy has not activated this round, this attack may reroll any attack dice. Enemies wounded by this attack also lose 1 power. If they cannot, they suffer 1 wound. Nice. So yeah, if he goes first or early, Cosmic Bounce. Bonus action, roll 3 dice. After rolling, he may use the result for the following. Other allies gain +1 power, or melee and Grayskull, 1 other ally performs a bonus action. Surge, roll 1 die. We've seen that one on the controller card. He has Advanced Technologies. Attack boost, roll 1 die. Move boost, +1 space. Or defense boost, attack rolls -1 die. Okay, that's neat. So, like, yeah, do you want to, like, do that gambling mechanic? Or do you want to just upgrade everything? And then Cosmic Watcher. Reveal all enemy activation cards. You may switch to the position of 2 enemy activation cards. That's neat. Along with these other ones to be able to swap stuff around. So when any character activates, instead switch your activation cards with the next on the track. So you can even like combine that with this, but you can like reveal them, swap 2 of them around. So it's like if the it's only the enemy ones, but like if he's fighting, you have He-Man, Man-at-Arms, and Teela. And that's the order they're playing. The last one is, I don't know, I'm trying to think who the fourth one. Stratos is the last card to have. You could, like, I don't want He-Man to attack. You could then swap him to the end and put Stratos in the front. But then you could use your other ability to then swap. Yeah, if like he was second, like you could swap him with somebody else. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to hit the first guy. Well, actually, yeah, because you're the first character. So then if Stratos is second because he's the player card, you could then swap Stratos back one more. So like Zodak could have been first, did that, then he could do his attack actions. Then you could have Skeletor, who's maybe your next guy. He could go before Stratos. And that would really mess up their plans because you get 2 attacks before Stratos, and your opponent had intended him to be the last guy as like a bonus character. That could be some pretty interesting combos with that. Otherwise, you have Council of the Wise. Select one face-down enemy activation card. Guess what it is. Then reveal it. If correct, that enemy does not gain power when they activate and suffer -1 action. If incorrect, Zodak becomes dazed. Interesting. So he's very gambly. With lots of his stuff. Rolls dice for extra little bonuses. And does that. But definitely some neat, different type of effects. I like it. Anytime they want to make a character that out of the box, not just straight up, oh, this guy does 40 damage, or this guy does that. You know, it's always interesting. Alright, our next one is Scare Glow, who I did not apparently grab the miniature for. Alright, so this guy's not even from Eternia or Eternia. He's from some other fear realm. And Skeletor brings him in and just tries to, hey, help me and I'll send you home. And then he fails and he's like, I'm not sending you home until you succeed. So he's, again, I can almost see him being like, talking that neutral thing, like he's with Skeletor, but he's only with him because he has to be, not like out of direct choice. But he is an evil character to begin with. So we have Stergel has Scythe of Doom. So look at that. He has a giant scythe there in his miniature, right? He's a glowing skeleton. Free attack boost. If this KOs a minion, Stergel gains 1 power. If this KOs a character, Stergel gains 3 power. Nice. So his base attack can get him extra power depending on who he kills. And then incorporeal form. When an enemy activates, until the end of the activation, Stergel cannot be attacked. That's cool as well. So he can kind of sit around using to finish off characters, gain extra power, and then he can turn around and use his reaction to disappear, essentially. He has this neat thing with him. He's like glow in the dark. But it's supposed to be like you can see a skeleton underneath his see-through, like, transparent body. He has Scythe of Doom in his controller form. If this KOs a character, controller gains 3, or attack boost hits all adjacent enemies instead he swings it around. And then Fear. 3 ranged. If this wounds an enemy, push them up to 3 spaces away from Scare Glow. Surge puts the enemy 1 space, or daze them. Then Powered. Enemies lose 1 power for each wound they suffer from Fear. Nice. That's a neat idea. Like, you can scare them away. Get them away from him. And then he has, for AI, he has Scythe of Doom as well. And then Aura of Dread. Until his next activation, enemies within 4 spaces of Stergel cannot spend power. Surge. All enemies within 4 spaces become dazed. Oh, that shuts down lots of people. It says until his next activation. So yeah, if he goes early with this ability, the AI, it's of course it's AI, so how it appears you're not really ever sure. But yeah, that could be bad. So if he has that ability on his regular skills, that's gonna make him a force to reckon with. Alright. Let's check out his miniature there. Yeah, you can, I like, so they did actually put like the skeleton into the model, which I guess some people might agree or disagree with, because, it's supposed to look like it's inside of him, but it's better than just having him be naked and expecting you to paint that on there. Because then he just look like a man with a skeleton face, right? And of course, he's got his big billowing cape, which Simon loves their capes. And his big giant scythe, and again, I don't know why I keep pointing this out, but he has three toes. Must just be, it's a He-Man aesthetic. I almost want to go back and look at the heroes now and see if they all have 3 toes. Alright, he has Blinding Glow reaction. After an enemy within 4 spaces rolls attack dice, force the attacker to reroll 1 die. Then Surge, force the attacker to reroll +1 die, and Surge again to reroll +2 dice. So that's not bad. Just, you can make their attack less better, so you have to reroll. But, if they have really good successes, they could really fail. But then again, if they have medium successes, it might end up not good for you. Another guy is Aura of the Drag. Enemy within 4 spaces activates. Until the end of the activation, their skills cost +1 power. Okay, so that's not as abusive as the AI one. And then Surge, instead, that enemy cannot spend power this activation. So yeah, it still does do that, but it costs you 3 to do. Versus the AI version. Where's his? I guess the AI just costs 2. So 1 more is not so bad, I guess. But yeah, even still, making all their skills cost, just for 1, making all their skills cost +1 can really hinder someone. Life Siphon, 4 ranged. For each wound out, Stairglow has, or 1 ally within 4 spaces heals 1. Attack boost. If this KOs an enemy, Stairglow or an ally within 4 spaces may perform 1 move action. Cool. So yeah, he wants to move around, but he can heal or heal other people, which is fun. And then he has Fear. If this wounds an enemy, pushing up to 3 spaces away from Stairglow, search push the enemy 1 space, or they become dazed. Alright, now he has some interesting final ones. Dark Star Corruption. Spawn up to 2 Eternian Soldier minions adjacent to Stairglow. He may have a maximum of 4 on the battlefield. They only activate via this skill. Bonus action. Activate all Eternian Soldier minions within 4 spaces. Interesting. So I was really hoping there would be more characters that did stuff with minions. I did not expect a villain to summon Eternian Soldiers. That's actually pretty wild. There's not enough for the fact that minions are in the game. There's not enough characters that can summon and do extra stuff with minions. The controller gets activation of minions, but the player characters don't get to utilize minions nearly as much. Summoned through space and time. Move Stairglow into a space adjacent to an ally. Free reaction. When a character is KO'd, place Stairglow in an adjacent space to them before they are removed. Interesting. So he can move next to a character, or he can move next to them before they die. So it can help him come in and maybe finish off people. He doesn't have any way of blocking anybody after that. But he does do some. That's an interesting ability. Versus, I guess, summoning minions to fight for you. If you need to get next to allies quicker, that's a cool way to be able to do it. Alright, then we have one last evil forces for this video before we go into the part 5. Is we have one of the more interesting designed characters in the set. We have Two-Bag. So if you're familiar with Two-Bag, he has his 2 giant heads, metal claw on one hand, shield on the other. So this is like a set of bounty hunters that were supposed to, they're trying to capture He-Man or stop He-Man at the same time. And they just never agree on how to do it. So Skeletor basically said, you know what, you guys can't work together, you're going to be forced to work together, and fuse them together somehow. So now they're a 2-headed monster. I loved this toy as a kid. His arms would pull back and they'd smash together and do a double smash, like a bear hug. Which is really fun. So these guys have a special thing. So here's Two-Bag Truvar, and then here's Two-Bag Badra. So they have a special ability called Two Halves. So we're going to look at this skill right away. Two Bad counts as two characters when selecting characters. Each half should be played by different players. Each half has their own activation, but shares the same model and HP. So one player is Truvor and one player is Badra on the board. So if you're playing with your 4 players, you have these 2 and then 2 other characters. When selecting skills, only one side of Two Bad can have each skill. The other must select the opposite side. So we still have our 6 cards, but you have 6 for one character, 6 for the other. So when one player picks one, the other one has to pick the other side. So as they go along, they'll always have, as a team, active access to all six skill cards eventually, all 6 sides. But again, you're having, but you get 2 activations for them and all that stuff. So I think the other side is just the same text. Alright, so let's look at their 2 different things. Now I don't remember which side is which. Although, I'm going to guess this is the purple side since it says Shield Bash. Alright, so we have Badra. And the reason why I have 2 players play as them is because it makes the theming of that instigation between the 2 characters. So if one guy's like, I want to do this, and the other guy's like, well, I want to go do this. So we have Shield Bash, we have 3 melee. Attack boost, enemies wounded by this attack become dazed. Attack boost move up to 2 spaces before performing this attack. Cool, so he can run up and smash people and become dazed, or he can get an extra attack out of it. Or we have the other side, we have Truvar, who has Iron Gauntlet, which is also a 3 melee. Enemy boost, push enemies wounded by this attack up to 2 spaces. If they engage into another enemy, perform a 3 melee attack against that enemy. It cannot generate energy. So this is kind of the difference between them. He can smash a guy, and then knock him away, and they can do extra damage to some, take a throw type of attack. Or, you have the other one who does Shield Bash, which can daze the enemy, which could get reduced their defense, but you also have the option of moving up to 2 spaces before this as an attack boost, which does not have a symbol for some reason. I don't know if they just left that off. But yeah, so you could really ideally use the one guy first, knock them up to 2 spaces, then he can always move 2 spaces again to run in to attack them. Or he could go first and gaze them, which reduces their defense, which does hopefully generate them taking more damage. Alright, then we have the controller side. So we have, now this side doesn't mention which side's which, but we have, these are going to be the exact same. So you're playing as the controller, they get the same exact card. They're no longer separate, only for the player side. And I think only that's mostly because there's only 3 players for the controller, and if you had 2 of them taken up by one character, and the controller's always played by one person, it wouldn't make as much sense. We have Iron Gauntlet for 4, push enemies up to 2 spaces, and then they can perform the extra 3 attack, or 2 halves. Boost attack, roll 1 die, defense boost, gain 1 shield, or move boost, gain 1 move. Empowered, during its activation as a bonus action, Two Bad may perform up to 3 power to perform any one action. Yeah, so you can spend an extra 3 to basically activate his other half, essentially. And then the AI versions have very much the same thing with Iron Gauntlet and 2 plans. After this activation, Two Bad activates again. He does not gain energy at the start of this activation. So he gets his double activation on. Cool. So that's definitely a neat set of characters. Let's look at the rest of his actual skills. So again, you get one of these, one player will get 1, and we're going to have a second set of these. So I'm not going to go through the second full set because it's the same on both sides. So player 1 can select I have a plan, attack boost. Any attack, roll 1 die, defense boost, gain 1 defense, or move boost, move 1 space. Then the other player is forced to take I have a better plan. Reaction. After your other half completes an action, you may perform one action. After completing this action, both halves flip over their green skills. That's kind of neat. So you can do the one guy can do something, whether it's an attack or it's his other boost or whatever. You can then react to it by getting yourself a free action to give you, a second separate thing to do. But then you have to flip them over and they have to do it the other direction. So they go backwards like, I have a plan now. I have a plan. And then we have Bear Hug. Well, that's right. He does have an attack called Bear. I said that before, but I forgot they had the attack called that. For each Castle Grayskull gain 1 success. Free attack boost. Your other half may spend 1 power. From any skill, if they do, this attack ignores damage or defense. That's actually a cool idea too. Like, your other guys can you have to work in tandem, and spend energy to help make your attack better. But that also means he's gonna have less stuff to do on his turn. Or we have Claw Frenzy. Hits all adjacent enemies, your other half may spend 2 power from any skill. They do this becomes a bonus action. Or a bonus attack. Cool. So that's a neat idea. So I'm actually for free, the other guy can spend it, but every time they spend something, it limits what else they can do. Then the last two is we have Defense Coordination. Defense boost. For each miss, the attacker suffers 1 boost. Attacker must roll successes or both halves and then flip over their red skill. Both halves flip over their red skill. Yeah, so which one guy gets the defense, the other guy will get the attack coordination. Attack boost any attack. When your other half attacks, they gain +2 dice. After rolling, reroll dice or flip over both of their red skills. So it's neat. The green one, it's the one guy can do some stuff, some bonuses. The other guy can react to getting extra action, but then you have to swap them. And then the red one, it's either attack or defense boosts. But then you can opt to flip both of them over. So that might be better, like, hey, if one guy's being attacked, one guy's being because you're the same character, same miniature. So if it's like, hey, we're in attack mode, let's attack. But then maybe you ran out of power, maybe flip it over quick. Then the other guy can use the defense on their turn. Or depending on which side activates first. That's actually a pretty fun idea. Alright, so that is Too Bad. That is the last guy we have for this video. So we'll check back in with the last one. So we'll go through the rest